Hey everyone, this is Edward Sanchez at the Money Sharp Show, and this is different. This is different than a Money Sharp Show episode. I want to talk to you specifically about what was announced, what came out earlier, late last night, which was the announcement from Equifax that their databases had been breached. They announced that 143 million users could be affected, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover 4 specific things with you in this brief video because I want to share with you. Number 1, what happened. 2, what the potential risks are for you, for all of us. Number 3, what Equifax is doing in response. And then lastly, how you can protect yourself and the steps you should take to protect yourself. So I hope this video is valuable. Let's get right into this, guys. So on September 7th, Equifax announces that 143 million users, including you or I've already gone onto the website, the link that they provide, and I've received notification that my account may be one that is compromised. I don't like the solutions that Equifax is offering me or anybody else for that matter. But what was breached? So basically, the database that was breached had access to users' social security numbers, names, addresses, dates of birth, driver's license numbers, and even some medical bill information. In addition to that, they announced that 209,000 accounts included credit card information, and then an additional 189 credit report dispute files were compromised as well. And a credit report dispute is when you have an issue with information that's not accurate on your credit report. You file a dispute with the bureau. Those letters are accessed. The big thing is the credit card information, date of birth, driver's license, all that information. I mean, I can't imagine anyone other than the bureaus having more personal information for you or I. I mean, it's the equivalent of hacking the Social Security Department's database because all of this information is together. Now, what are the potential risks? Hackers that get access to this information or data, they're going to sell this information, they're going to put it on the market for data aggregators, most likely. And so that's going to help people market to you, or bad guys create new loans, apply for credit cards, apply for mortgages, do fake tax filings and try to get your tax refund come back to them instead of you, or come to you at a different address. Applications for government benefits, even applications for medical services and procedures to be covered, and different types of insurances. So this really does open up a huge a huge vacuum of potential fraud and a ton of risk for 143 million Americans. Now, also some British and Canadian individuals were also impacted by this breach as well. So even not just here in the U.S. So what is Equifax doing in response to this breach? So there's a video on their website, and the web address is it's equifaxsecurity2017.com. On there, what you're able to do is click to see if your information was in the database that was breached, okay, or impacted. So 1, you can check to see if you're affected. 2, they'll notify you if your information is within the breached database, and if so, they give you the option to enroll in what they call is Equifax's Trusted ID. Okay, what is Trusted ID? They break down the insurance that they back and the monitoring that they'll do. Trusted ID is offered to you for 1 year. Somebody breaching your credit report and having access to all these information points is not going to give up from trying to steal from you after just 1 year. But what Equifax is offering is to give you this credit monitoring service at no cost for 1 year. That's their answer to this problem. Here are my problems with this proposed solution. Number 1, it auto-renews at the end of the year. So that means that you pay nothing today, but 12 months from when it begins, you're going to see your subscription begin. So if you don't opt out, and imagine how many people are freaked out right now. How many people are worried about protecting themselves, and so they're going to opt in and take this free service, okay? because it's free for a year, and many of them will remember to opt out. Many more won't. Okay, I'll go through the numbers on that opt out thing in a minute. But what does Trusted ID cost? Nowhere on the website does it show. Neither does it show in the terms of use. So it doesn't show you what it costs, either monthly or annually, and so you don't know really what you're getting into. Number 3 is that, again, the protection is only for a year. So I see it this way. It's like the equivalent of if Equifax were to rip the front door off of your home, and they say, well, the front door is gone, but we're going to put somebody in place, or we're going to monitor that front door for the next year. But after a year, we're not going to provide the protection or the monitoring of your service at no cost. And you won't be able to, all on your own, put a new front door in your home. So you're vulnerable, you're susceptible for life. This is something that you're going to have to stay on top of and monitor. And we teach our clients, I talk to them about monitoring your credit report regularly, but this is heightened risk because it's a compounding amount of data that is now accessible to the bad guys. Number 4, this is quite possibly the biggest one, is that you waive your claim, you waive your ability to sue Equifax. Okay, you waive your ability to go into a class action should a class action form for something that they've done negligently. Here's the other part. Several news sources are here's problem number 5. The breach was announced late last night on September 7th. Up until last night, the CEOs, it's been reported in several news outlets that CEOs of Equifax were selling off their shares, selling off ownership stock in Equifax prior to the announcement of this. And that just looks really, really bad. But let's go back to number 4, which is waiving your rights and being able to have a potential claim against Equifax. If they asked you, sign this, oh, you may be at risk, you are now at credit risk because our database has been compromised. Please sign here, it says you can't sue us. How many people would sign that? But that's not what they're putting forward on the website. What they're putting forward is this service that they're offering you for a year at no cost, but they will start charging you at the end of the year. And by the way, all the way buried at the bottom, they put in all the legalese that says that they are protected greater against a potential class action and that you have to roll into arbitration. I'll see if I can put that up on the screen to show you what that looks like. But I encourage you to take a look at that before you sign up. Now, I went to the website myself, and again, it says that my information could have been compromised, and the solution they're offering me is to enroll in this program. They're not telling me how much it costs, and I looked everywhere on the website. Okay, so I went onto their website to see if they have other ID protection programs and what those cost. So they have another program called Equifax ID Patrol, and that's $17 a month. And then they have another one that's Equifax ID Patrol Premier, and that's $20 a month. All right, so let's start doing some math here, because again, this is my problem. What they've done is they've put together a waiver form, a waiver of rights form, veiled with a service that's only offered to you for 1 year, which you will have to purposely opt out of in 12 months to make sure that they don't start billing you somewhere in the neighborhood of $20 a month. So 143 million Americans affected. Let's say that all of them, because they're freaked out and they want to protect their information, enroll into this program. You now have $143 million new subscribers. Now, let's say that 90% of everyone that subscribes remembers to opt out because they don't want this service. How many of them are not going to want this service? But maybe they're priced out and it's too expensive. And so they say, well, I'm going to get out because it's too expensive. I'm going to look for credit, for ID protection someplace else. Even if 90% of the 143 million opt out, that's still 14 million new users. So I'm an entrepreneur. If you're a business owner and you're trying to grow your business, who wouldn't like 14 million new subscribers? And they're going to get them overnight. And that, again, is if 90% opt out. So what does 14 million new users paying $20 a month look like? We're talking about $280 million of revenue per month, added revenue for Equifax for this FUBAR that they've created. So I am not, as a consumer advocate, pleased or excited in any way whatsoever with the solution that Equifax is offering. Now, here's what you can do to protect yourself. Number one, place a fraud alert on your credit report. The fraud alert is going to basically freeze any new lines of credit, any credit cards, any loans, anything new being opened with your name and your social security number. So even if you put the fraud alert now and you went to a department store, that same week, and you try to apply for a credit card, there's going to be a hold on that application. It's not going to go through until the bureau is able to contact you, verify and confirm that you are the one applying for that credit and that you do want that line in your name. So that's a really good protection to have. Now, the fraud alert's only available for 90 days, and then you can ask it to renew. This does create some maintenance on your part, a need for maintenance, but it's well worth it because you're protecting yourself. Ask when you talk to the bureau that they communicate your fraud alert with the other two bureaus, because there are three major bureaus. It's Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. So number one, place a fraud alert. Number two, ask and confirm that they share this information, your fraud alert, with the other two bureaus. And number three, I recommend don't call Equifax. Look, these guys have their hands full. The website's up and down, and you aren't able to necessarily get through on the phone right away. So call TransUnion or call Experian. Put a fraud alert on your bureau report there, on your credit report through those bureaus, and then ask them to share the information with the other two bureaus. That's not going to cost you anything. And I assure you, even if you signed up for Equifax's Trust ID program, you're still going to be watching whatever reporting they give you. You're still going to be monitoring your credit report, and you absolutely should. When you place your fraud alert, you're entitled to one free report from each of the bureaus. So here are the steps to protect yourself. Number one, ask to put a fraud alert on your credit report with one of the bureaus. Number two, ask that they communicate this information with the other two bureaus. And then number three, I recommend going to not Equifax, but I recommend you go to TransUnion or Experian. It's not a preference issue, it's just who you want to get through as quickly as possible, because I'm sure Equifax, as their site is constantly up and down, is saturated with calls and emails. So you wanted this fraud alert on your report as soon as possible. I hope this has been valuable. Please share in the comments information that you found to be helpful either here or elsewhere, so that our community can continue to grow and be stronger. That's it for this episode of the Money Sharp Show. As always, I want to thank Wayne Dyer. May God rest your soul. I want to thank Anthony Robbins and Gary Vaynerchuk. Guys, share this information if you know someone that could benefit from this. Thank you.
Make your money sharp.